Hello and welcome, brothers and sisters of the multiverse. Today I want to talk about wild theories and how they might come together in a way. But this is just that, right? Maybe. I've seen ever more of this AI decoded that, AI decoded this, from Mesopotamian and Olmec, Sumerian texts. Bugasphere, you know of that? That's freaking wild. I mean, there's so many things once you get into that. It's an endless rabbit hole. And the coincidences are mathematically highly improbable. And yet, there they are. From Erich von Däniken's ancient astronaut theories, the creation of us, or the genetic manipulation, or whatever. I mean, it's all possible. But then you have the majority of mainstream scientists explain and rationalize things away with not seldom irrational explanations. I mean, what's the chance of Olmec culture having depicted those pouches same as those in Mesopotamia? These pine cones, shaped objects, whatever it is. I don't believe both cultures first didn't know of each other back then. And secondly, both of them didn't even have trees that produce pine cones. Maybe they never even saw a pine cone. It's just. And then there's Vatican who has this statue. And the official story about it is, yeah, right. Just a coincidence, just a relic from the Romans and such. Why would anyone make a pine cone? It's the most boring thing, you know? It's just pine cone shaped. Where did you see a statue of a pine needle or something? I mean, you know. And they're everywhere, and then there's this Eye of Horus stuff and the resemblance of our reptilian brain or something. I mean, one can dive endlessly into those wild stories. Many of them are free interpretations, let's say, even though based on some findings. But it's more than curious. And if even half of that is true, what is quantum AIs decode nowadays? That there was a knowledge that we even today don't possess, how to make things or how things really work. That they had this thousands of years ago. How can, even if a whole civilization collapses and such vital information, how can it be just gone? We can never know what really happened. All the mainstream explanations, right? If you dig deep enough, don't make sense. What's happening here? On the one hand, you always have that saying, right? Yeah, brains are wired for pattern recognition and then see patterns where there are none. Right? And it is true up to a point, and with certain people that see something because they want to see something there. But there are also then those things that that let's take a story with 5 different open questions. And at each of those points, you have a chance 1 to 50,000 that just this exact thing happens. And then you have another one, the chance of 50,000 to 1, and another one, and then you can even calculate the overall chance of that story. You have to just be able to pick out the improbable official explanations and research deeper into that every time. Do we know how to melt stone into certain shapes today? So how did I know that with the primitive tools of thousands of years ago? Stuff like that. And all that stories about, and they all converge from myths and legends and religions, and everyone tells the same story, just in another way, right? But the same story. How high is that probability that every culture all around the world had the same basic idea before it was considered archetypical? are we then left with explanations of this global unconscious or morphic field theories, or what's going on? And who can say and who can claim to know or to be sure of any of it? But there are pointers, right? And if it's true that this AI or quantum AI really decoded certain old tablets and stuff the right way, what they say could be just a documentary of our history, our true history. There are perfectly plausibly fittable, let's say, in the gaps of the official stories of our history. And that's also a thing. Mostly there is no direct contradiction between them. And then you have the multiverse theories and all the Mandela effect stuff, right? And that also opens the question of our consciousness. If there are infinite numbers of each of us, which us is us, the true us? Or does every us in every of the infinite number of parallel universes have a different soul? Or is it the same soul that operates on infinite number of different us? Or is the soul itself a myth? I don't believe that, but you know what I mean? Who can say anything for sure? How all of this works? And by certain institutions and governments and all the hush-hush about certain stuff, and suddenly something happens that prevents them to research further, and those are all also just contributing to the theories. Why does there have to be any hush-hush about anything? What truths are dangerous? Dangerous to what? And who decides that? Right? And to what purpose? We should just pull all our brightest minds together and discuss everything openly. those that close themselves off from unconventional ideas, by thinking, or they're coerced by the paycheck again, to not discuss certain stuff or in a certain way. You know, this is so kindergarten. And the more they do it, the more the majority, or the less majority knows about this, the less it would, because it's deliberately untrained for it, kept untrained. So we're making us as the whole humanity weaker that way, just so those in so-called power can keep their power, or make the majority believe that they even have any power, that they need them. I don't want to throw words like pathetic, but we can grow out of this once and for all. And start discussing all possibilities without judgment. Let's keep theories, even so-called wild theories, open on the table until proven wrong, not dismiss them right away. Shall we? I mean, right? Let's not fear rule science. When did that become the case? Science was once the opposite. Science should be that again. Not dogmatic. But combining all the possibilities and ideas and new realizations in quantum mechanics and dynamics, and I mean, along the so-called simulation theory opens up every possibility, every kind of reality. But there are then also patterns, right, to that. Because all sciences were compartmentalized, right? And every scientist was looking only through the lens of his profession, of his field on certain stuff. But we see that doesn't bring us very much. That doesn't bring us very far. Only when we start to combine knowledges of different fields, we make the quantum leaps. And that also points to, let's bring them all together for once. All of them. No matter how wild. Right? And just let's see what we can find out without any governments or any institutions or any lobbyists or any corporations or any of that standing in the way of that. I would vote that there should go our taxes and not in military. I mean, part of it. The other part, I also already said it once, if only 20% of each country's military budget would be taken for giving to the poorest, we wouldn't have any homeless or starving people around. Just like that. Just 20%. Maybe 20% more we could turn into medicine, and the other 20, let's say, into space exploration or something, and the other 40 in the scientists. Those who come together to bring us all further. Could be so easy. Decided just now. We would have an recognizable world in only 5 to 10 years in a positive way. It's only the minority that wants that. And every nation who still believes in democracy how is that democracy again? Just maybe rethink some stuff. Let's be brave for once. Let's get wild with all the theories, all the knowledge, all the technology that can help us decipher all of this mess. That will be my prayer for the day. Love you, brothers and sisters.